Okay, I hope y'all can see me okay. It's a little dark. It's like 2 or 3 in the morning here. I am in, and forgive me if I keep touching the screen, but this little MIP thing keeps coming up. And I'm in Nebraska. No, I'm in Wyoming at a TA where I fueled. So I drove about 543 miles yesterday in about 9 hours and change, which wasn't bad. I'm going to share with y'all, and I call it the favor and the game in trucking. And this is for some old experience. I ain't talking about anything recent. This is some old stuff that happened to me when I first came into trucking, okay? Also, I'm going to tell you about an experience I had with one of my trainers when I was in trucking. And so the name of this video is The Favor and the Game in Trucking. So when I first started out, I started out with 2 different newbie companies, and one of them I call myself the rookie that first year, and you don't know no better, so you can get played a lot in the trucking industry. And I'll real quick tell you about a story. My friend Slim Kim, she resigned from her company because she wasn't making any money when she first started out, and so she resigned and went back to regular work so that she could survive. She ended up getting some regular work, but it was tough for her because she wasn't making the money. They weren't giving her the miles. She told me a story about when she went in to do all the resignation and to turn everything in, that the people in the office, I hope it's different now because like I said, there's a huge driver shortage, but some of it isn't different. The people in the offices, they had people who they wanted to go home, they had a whole bunch of things, and these women were on the phone crying, men were cussing them out, a whole bunch of weird stuff. And she said that they were in there laughing and making fun. So for some of them, it's entertaining. So from my management background, I hate to say, I understand those types of personalities, and they're very sick and twisted, and they get off on the misery of others. I don't understand why. I just understand, I know it because I've worked with it. And it doesn't matter whether it's trucking industry or I worked in the call center industry and in management. You have people who get off on doing malicious and evil things to other human beings. I don't understand it. They think it's funny. It's a joke. They enjoy it. I mean, it really is like they're having sex. It's like the best experience ever for them to jack with another human being. To me, it's sick. It's very sick, and there's something behind it. On a biblical level, we would say there's some demonic forces behind it, okay? Now, this is for my newbies, for people coming in, and for people who in the industry who haven't experienced this yet. So I was working for this carrier, major carrier, back 2010. And tell the story. Not getting the reason I'm telling the story, but just some education. And I was working for them, and what they did, I was in wherever Sturgis happens. I had delivered a load, and I was empty, and I was waiting for my next load assignment. And so while I was empty, all of a sudden I got just a freeform message across the Qualcomm that said, "Hey Shannon, we need you to go swap your trailer with this other trailer." And the trailer was somewhere in like South Dakota, Iowa, somewhere, with this other driver. Okay, trade him trailers, and we want you to take his load, and he's going to take your empty. He's having some mechanical issues with his truck. I'm like, okay. The load was a J.C. Penney load, if I remember correctly, back in the day. So I drive. I didn't drive yet. So I'm waiting for them to dispatch. I said, well, go ahead and dispatch me on the load. Oh, just head that way. Well, we'll get that to you shortly. Again, I'm a rookie, so I didn't know that you're not supposed to move that truck without having dispatch. Okay? Y'all can see where my hair is receding. So, at this point, I go ahead and do what they said because I'm a rookie. I don't know no better. I get to where this guy is at. He had hit a deer. I also think he was a mentor. I wasn't a mentor at that time. I was very, very new. And it was him and another guy on the truck. He had hit a deer. And what they needed to do was get him from under the load assignment, get him into an empty so they could aim him to get the repairs for his truck. Let me tell you something. I didn't know. I talked to my boy Mike, who I later teamed with, and Mike said, Shan, I learned because my driver manager told me, if they don't ever send you that load plan, you don't move that. You don't dispatch you on the load. You don't move that truck. So there was a lot of things going on why they couldn't dispatch me to the load. Number one, I was going to be put on safety hold because back then we were handwritten logs. And something was up with one of my logs that didn't go through, and they needed to rescan it. Well, where they moved me from, I wasn't able to scan the log. So now I'm sitting for the weekend on this JCPenney load that I can't even deliver because I'm on safety hold. My driver manager comes in, and Monday morning, he's like, Shannon, why are you not at this location? This is where I said, you need to go back and read the Qualcomm messages. So they didn't call over the phone back then. And I can't remember if I had phones. So I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I had a cell phone. Everything was through Qualcomm. Thank you, Jesus. He read that, and then he called my phone. He says, you have a cell phone? I said, yeah. He says, I'm calling you. He called me. He says, look, I'm very sorry. He said, frickin' this weekend dispatch did this, and this. And I was like, oh, okay. You know, I had no idea, but that's exactly what they did. It was the game that the weekend dispatch plays. He goes, this is what I want you to do, okay? He goes, how did he put that to me? He says, he said, do not move that truck. Stay right there. I'm going to have to work on seeing what we can do because that load's got to get delivered and you got to get somewhere where you can send in this log sheet. I was like, okay. He says, don't move the truck. Just stay where you're at. I was like, okay. Hold on. I'm trying to see here. Okay. He said, do not move the truck. Just stay where you're at. So I did that. It taught me something. Things have to be done properly. There are not a lot of shortcuts, especially in this industry. And when there are shortcuts, it's always some drama, okay? The other one, I was out, well, I'm going to go with Trucker Bill. Trucker Bill, he told me a story. He told me there were several stories, but he told me, anytime they ask you for a favor, that means bend over, touch your toes, and they strapping up on you. You're going to get screwed. Now, I hate to put it that way, but I hate to say he's been right. And not only this one, it's just kind of a trucking industry standard. I had worked for a different company. I already mentioned him as Conway because they're not even existing anymore. They're now something else. I worked for Conway. And I was on home time. And I've heard other drivers say this in some of my groups. I was on home time. My home time was scheduled for, I think, 3 or 4 days. I was in Lubbock, Texas with my dad. Well, I had drinks, cocktails, da-da-da-da-da. You know, and the stuff you do when you're on home time. I got a call from a planner while I was on home time. Hey, Shannon, we've got a load that's outside of Lubbock where you're at. It was a Pepsi Cola. I think it was Pepsi. And we need you to pick that up. And I was like, okay, I can do that tomorrow when I come off home time. Are you wanting to leave earlier? No, I don't want to leave earlier. Matter of fact, no, I can't leave earlier because I've had a cocktail. And I've been up since da-da-da-da-da time. He says to me on the phone, oh, I'll go ahead and I'll call the customer and let them know you'll pick it up tomorrow. I said, because based on what you're telling me, there's no way I can make that delivery time because I'm going to be picking up this a day later. These folks called me. I went and picked the load up exactly the next day, like I said. Nothing was on Qualcomm. And I'm telling you this for a reason. These folks literally bugged me the whole time. As soon as I picked the load up, it was like the Qualcomm and my phone was ringing off the hook. Y'all, me and Conway, it was very shortly after that we came to a head. Well, mainly for Canada, not for this. I turned my phone off. I parked the truck. And I went to sleep. I was coming off home time, but I was also going to give myself sleeper berth time because I had been up before, so I really wasn't supposed to leave out. I left out a little bit early the next day just to go pick that load up. And you're not going to sit here and bug me on that load. And I told him, stop. Because I would pull the truck over, and exactly what I did. And me and my driver manager, we had a conversation. I said, look, you guys called me on home time. I told you what I could do and what I couldn't do based on the situation. You can't have anybody behind the wheel who's had any kind of alcohol and or sleep. No sleep. I'm at home. You know, they could have had, and as Bill said, they could have had a team come out and get that if it was that urgent. It's some of the, I don't even know what the behaviors are. It's just bizarre. And I understand they have to move a lot of freight, but no. So you guys got to be careful. And the reason I bring this up, I was reading on one of my groups. The guy was on home time. They contacted him. He told them the same thing. You know, I've been out. I had a couple drinks. They wanted that load moved so bad that over the phone, the planner driver manager tells him, oh, just go ahead and get it. You're fine. And then he asked on there, he says, guys, what am I supposed to do? I was like, you can't drive that truck. You need to not even get, you're not even supposed to get in the truck if you've been drinking. Not even to go to sleep in the truck. I remember there was a couple on here that was being interviewed by another driver, and they said that the driver, somebody saw him go out for drinks, get back in his truck, and so they notified the company, and the company interviewed him, and they asked him, and he was an owner-op, did you drink, and did you, he's like, yeah, I went back and went to sleep, I didn't drive the truck. He was terminated immediately, because you cannot get back in your truck. It's almost the same mentality of driving, of getting in the car, I'm going to sleep in the back seat, and you had alcohol, I'm going to sleep in the car. Once you get behind that wheel or get in that vehicle, to them it's an intent to drive under the influence. So you have to use wisdom. And again, I don't know if it's a game, I don't know what you want to call it. What I'm going to tell you is, whenever you put in those positions, you've got to use wisdom on how to handle them. And just make sure you use wisdom. And I could go into a lot more detail, but make sure you use wisdom whenever you get asked to do a favor, and or whenever your dispatch is not done correctly. You need to know that something is up and something's not right. And they're either trying to plan something differently, so they want the load for somebody else. You just have got to use wisdom in the game. So anyway, you guys be blessed. Talk to you later.